Sup, dudes? All we can now do now is wait and see if she'll get small. I was a little worried about that. Roddy had cleared expired some time ago. Clearly expired. Knowing how dry and moldy he was on the outside, surely his jam had spoiled too. That's kind of gross. I had no idea how the shrinking and growing effects actually worked. And I wasn't sure if they would work properly with spoiled jam. Shrink, shrink, please, come on, you gotta shrink. I murmured to myself as I stared at the Duchess. Then, as if my prayer had been answered, the Duchess' body began to shrink. She reduced in size like a giant balloon rapidly deflating. Haha, that's funny. We did it! I ran to the Duchess's side. She sat in a bowl of what appeared to be mashed potatoes. I couldn't really tell with a blank look on her face. She had shrunk down even smaller than I did. She was about the size of a tame Java sparrow. It seemed Roddy's effect was particularly strong. Darling. The Duke staggered over. Oh, you've become so small. The Duchess looked around nervously. It seemed like she was still processing the situation. Now, keep your end of the bargain, Duke. Tell us what you know about the White Rabbit. Of course. The White Rabbit went over. The Duchess' scream made me turn around. I thought she had screamed from shock, but that wasn't the case. The Duchess had happily shoved her face into the ocean of mashed potatoes. Darling, dearest, stop it. The food had become so large now, no matter how much I eat, I will never run out. Oh, how wonderful. Fat cow. Duke, you were saying where the White Rabbit went? Nothing has changed. What? I asked you to make her stop eating. Now she's happier to eat than ever before. Well, look on the bright side. She doesn't need as much food since she's so small, so it's less of a burden to the frogs, right? I don't care about the frogs. What? What about my peace and quiet? I'm not sure what I can do about that. I glanced at the Cheshire Cat. While the Duke interrogated me, the cat was speaking into the bowl of mashed potatoes. Peeking. I became a little anxious. He's not thinking about eating the Duchess, is he? She is about the size of a mouse right now, though. Hey, Alice, are you even listening to me? Huh? Oh, you have such a lovely wife. She's so positive about everything. Yeah, right, and you're smoking crack. Alice. You love her, right? Why don't you accept her as she is? Well then, I'm not going to tell you about the White Rabbit. Don't be unreasonable. I think the situation is much better now, at least a little bit. Alice. beckoned at the Cheshire Cat as he peered inside the bowl. Yes? I ran over to the Cheshire Cat, thankful for an excuse to accept the Duke's haranguing. I peered into the bowl and saw that the Duchess was acting a little odd. She was clutching her stomach and writhing in pain amid the sea of potatoes. What's wrong? Did she finally realize she was eating too much? Food poisoning, whispered the Cheshire Cat. Oh my God, you're a terrible cat. Evil, I like it. What? What? Panicking, the Duke picked up his wife from the mashed potatoes. My stomach hurts. Okay. Oh, my dear, are you okay? The bathroom, darling, the bathroom. Oh, bathroom. You need to use the bathroom. Yes, of course, leave it to me. As the Duke hurried over toward the bathroom, he looked back at me. Thank you, Aunt Alice. Thank you for your help. That's right. The White Rabbit went through that door over there. The Duke gestured towards the direction with his chin. There stood a door. We couldn't see it before because the Duchess's giant body was hiding it. Bathroom. Oh, okay, just a little more. Keep it in just a little longer, I'm telling you. The Duke said as he ran out into the bathroom with a great big smile on his face. Silence suddenly fell over the restaurant. I wonder if the Duchess is okay, I said softly to myself. Roddy is the cause, no doubt, and if that's the case, then I'm sure it's a very serious bout of food poisoning. It's nothing to worry about, said the grinning Cheshire Cat, seemingly disinterested. I suppose you're right. The Duchess has a pretty strong stomach, doesn't she? I suppose you're right. The Duchess has a pretty strong stomach. And we managed to find out where the White Rabbit went. In the end, everything turned out okay, right? I peeked into the kitchen. The frogs were fallen. They once stood sleeping as though they had died. I'm trying to close this curtain. There's a glare. The kitchen maid was also asleep, still gripping her knife and the pepper. Enjoy your well-earned rest. After I said that, the Cheshire Cat said something I hadn't heard in a while. Now, Alice, let's chase that White Rabbit. Yeah, let's chase that White Rabbit. What is that glare? Oh, it's from the kitchen light. I stood in front of the door that the Duke had pointed out. In contrast to the classy restaurant, the door seemed to be made of cold steel. It was a bit smaller than a normal-sized door, but if I crouched down, I could go through it. The knob turned easily enough. With some effort, I pulled the knob, and the heavy door opened slowly. You pulled the knob, huh? Fucking teenagers, I swear. When I peered inside, there were about 4 or 5 steps right in front of me, heading to a dim passage straight ahead. The passage itself was about the width of one person. I crouched down and went through the door to enter the dim passage. Dank air clung to my skin. It's kind of eerie. Did he really go this way? Slam! A heavy sound echoed behind me. The door had closed. The light from outside had been blocking off, plunging the passageway into the sudden darkness. Panicking, I tried to reach for the doorknob, but only grabbed air. Huh? What? In that unfamiliar darkness, I tried feeling around for the knob. The door had disappeared. However, there was only a flat wall. No shadow, shape, or door remained. You're fucked now. Impossible. Did the door disappear? I anxiously started banging on the wall where the door once stood. Where? Cheshire Cat, hey, can you hear me? But there was no reply. From the dull sound of my banging, it didn't seem like there was empty space on the other side of the wall. I just made a slapping sound that hurt my hands. I turned back to face the passageway. It was a hall made out of concrete. Naked light bulbs hung from the ceiling, casting their unreliable light. The end of the passageway was too dark to see clearly. Once again, I looked for the door that should have been there. But there was only a wall. If I can't go back, I guess I just have to move forward. The same thing happened at the school, too. Fortunately, it's a little difficult to lose your way on a one-way street. I don't know. I know some questionable people that can actually make that accomplished. Steeled my nerves and took a step forward. The sound of my footsteps rapping against the floor echoed through the passageway. I clapped my hands together in front of my chest. Thanks to the light bulbs, I was able to see what was in front of or behind me, but beyond that lighting was pretty lousy. It was long, dark passageway. The light bulbs all over which hung a set of distance from each other served as dim guides as I continued through the darkness. Am I really moving forward? Trying to conceal my breath while I walked, I suddenly realized that I could hear footsteps other than my own. Clack, clack. The soft sound of those mysterious footsteps seemed overlaid on top of my own. I froze in place, But the sound of those other footsteps did not stop. I realized that someone further down the passageway was walking towards me. Maybe it's the rabbit. Maybe it's Cheshire. I looked at the darkness in front of me. Who could it be? If they're coming from that direction, they must know if there's an exit. Clack, clack. The footsteps continued. In the faint light of the naked light bulbs, a beige-colored skirt and feet wearing a pair of pumps became visible. A woman. I felt a little relieved. Excuse me. The woman slowly came closer. Her appearance started to become clearer. Oh my God, that's a woman. The woman's face was wrapped in bandages. It looks like a dude. Even her nose and eyes were covered, and only mouth was just barely exposed. The bandages were soaked with blood. I took a step back, but tripped and fell on my butt. Yip yip. On the ground, a small dog barked next to my face. It was a stuffed mechanical toy dog. I smelled something foul but burnt plastic. The dog was scorched black, exposing the misshapen metal that formed the bones of its face. No, that's creepy. It's your fault. The fuck it is, bitch. I didn't kill your ass. The bandaged woman muttered in a muffled voice. My heart started racing wildly. The woman slowly came closer. The right side of her torso was soaked red with blood. Her bloody right arm hung limp, and she gripped a bloody knife in her hand. Bitch, you stab me, I'm gonna stab you dead again. Ali as your I couldn't move. All I could do was cower and look up at her. The dog continued to bark in its shrill tone. Yip yip. I'm sorry. I was so scared, so unbelievably scared that I apologized without really understanding why. The woman raised her knife without saying a word. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I waited for what felt like forever, but the pain never arrived. Fearfully, I opened my eyes. The woman was gone. The little mechanical toy dog had vanished too. Until next time.